My name is Briar Whitmore, and on what should have been the happiest day of my life, I stood in a silk wedding gown, alone. Not because my fiancé left me. He was waiting at the altar, with the kind of patience most women only read about. No, I stood alone because my family, my blood, had chosen someone else. Again. The antique mirror in the church dressing room caught my reflection as my hands trembled, the lace veil slipping between my fingers. My phone buzzed. I should have ignored it, but I didn't. The message from my mother simply read, "We've made our choice. Isolde needs us more." 63 chairs had been reserved for my side of the family. Only 17 were filled, and none by anyone who shared my last name. Not even my parents. The rest had vanished behind the veil of my sister's tears and twisted half-truths. But Calder, my soon-to-be husband, was there. His voice grounded me. "You still have me," he whispered, his hands warm on my shoulders. That was enough. I didn't know it then, but the betrayal on my wedding day would only be the beginning. Because months later, the very family who abandoned me would come back with a new plan, one that involved my unborn child. And this time, I wasn't going to play the quiet daughter anymore. 6 months before the wedding, I was standing in the kitchen making Calder's favorite lemon rosemary chicken when my phone rang. The screen flashed Isolde. I hadn't heard from my sister in weeks, not since the engagement announcement. Her voice cracked before I could say hello. "He left me, Briar. Tom's filing for divorce." I turned off the stove, the pan still sizzling behind me. "What happened?" "What happened?" she repeated, then laughed, a bitter, breathless sound. "You and your perfect wedding, that's what happened." At first, I thought I misheard, but she kept going, unloading a storm of blame. According to her, my engagement triggered a crisis in her marriage. My save-the-date card somehow turned Tom into a ghost, who packed his bags and walked out. "You've always needed the spotlight," she hissed. "You couldn't wait one more year to be the center of attention." That phone call was the beginning of the unraveling. At Sunday dinner, I was ambushed. Mom served roast chicken, while Isolde sobbed across the table, her mascara streaking like war paint. "The timing of Briar's wedding is cruel," she whispered, her voice shaking for effect. Dad pushed his plate aside without saying a word. I laid out the receipts, the venue deposit, the invitations, the 100 RSVPs already mailed. "We'll cover whatever you've paid," Dad said, sliding his checkbook across the lace tablecloth. "Just postpone it." "It's not about money," I said. "No," Mom cut in. "It's about priorities. And right now, your sister needs her family." That word, priorities, stuck like a splinter. Because in my family, it always meant choose Isolde. By the end of that night, it was clear I'd already chosen wrong. Isolde sniffled into her napkin while I boxed up the leftover pie no one touched. Her tragedy had eclipsed my joy. Again. The weeks that followed felt like emotional erosion. A cousin texted she couldn't be in the bridal party out of respect for Isolde. One of my oldest friends canceled our dress fitting, then ghosted me completely. The real blow came when I saw Isolde's Facebook post. Some people build their happiness on the ruins of another woman's pain. The likes poured in from people who used to call me family. I showed Calder the post that night. He didn't speak, just held me while I cried. The wedding dress hung on our bedroom door like a ghost of something that was supposed to be beautiful. And still, I didn't back down. I chose the date, kept the venue, sent reminders. And one by one, the responses came in. "Regretfully can't attend." What they didn't say outright was clear between the lines. "We believe her." And by then, it was too late to fix what had already been destroyed. The morning of the wedding, the church was quiet. Too quiet. When I peeked through the double doors of the sanctuary, I saw rows of white chairs draped in pale ribbons. On Calder's side, nearly every seat was filled. His parents, siblings, college friends, even their old neighbors. On mine, 17 out of 63. The front pews were bare, polished wood gleaming like a warning. The space felt hollow, like the bones of a family that used to be. Linda, our coordinator, whispered updates behind me, trying to stay upbeat. Another cousin just arrived, Rachel and her husband. They're sitting in the back. I nodded. They wouldn't stay for the reception. I could feel it in my chest, the way one feels a cold front moving in. Then Calder's mother appeared beside me, elegant in dove gray. She unpinned a small porcelain brooch from her lapel and pressed it gently into my hand. "This was my grandmother's," she said. "Every bride in our family has worn it since 1943. It's something old, something borrowed, something blue, all in one." Her voice cracked just slightly, but her smile held steady. "Welcome to the family, sweetheart. We've been waiting for you." That's when I stopped trembling. The organ music swelled. I stepped forward, bouquet clenched tight, veil adjusted one last time. Each footfall echoed through the marble floors like a slow drumbeat. I didn't cry. Not when I passed the empty pews. Not when I saw the rows of strangers' faces filling my side. I didn't even cry when I reached Calder. His hand found mine. He didn't say a word. He didn't need to. But later, as the string quartet played our first dance, something shifted. I spotted him by the bar, Tom, Isolde's ex-husband. His navy tie was loosened, eyes unfocused behind his whiskey glass. When he saw me watching, he straightened and walked over. "I wasn't sure I should come," he said. "Then why did you?" I asked. "Because you deserve to know the truth." We stepped aside, behind a column near the edge of the room. Calder kept an eye on me from across the floor, but he didn't interfere. He trusted me to stand. Tom's hands shook slightly as he pulled out his phone. She stopped taking her birth control without telling me. I only found out because she was tracking ovulation in a shared calendar app, prenatal vitamins stashed in her desk. When I confronted her, she denied it, until I showed her screenshots. I filed for divorce the next day. I couldn't breathe. My stomach churned like sour wine. "She didn't tell you that part, did she?" he asked. "No, she told me I ruined her marriage." "She also didn't tell you about the emails." He scrolled, then handed me his phone. The screen showed messages between Tom and Isolde, my sister's name glowing at the top. "They'll believe me over her. They always have. Mom's already calling relatives. No one will show up after what Briar did. I'll make her pay for stealing you." The timestamps were damning. 2 days after the divorce call. 2 days before the rumors started. My phone buzzed in my clutch. Messages from Mom and Dad. "Hope you're happy with yourself. How dare you invite him?" Isolde's crying again. "This is all your fault." I let Calder read them over my shoulder. His jaw clenched. "Your entire family chose to believe a lie without even asking," he said. "I know." It was like watching dominoes fall in reverse. Every moment of confusion now made perfect sense. The canceled fittings, the ghosted invitations, the whispered glances. And it wasn't just that they believed her, it was that they wanted to. Later, when the cake had been cut and the photos done, I stepped up to the mic. My voice didn't waver. "I want to thank everyone here tonight who chose truth over comfort, who stood with us, even when standing alone would have been easier." I looked at Calder's parents, their backs straight, their love unconditional. "Family isn't always about blood," I said. "Sometimes it's about who shows up." Glasses clinked. Applause followed. But I didn't smile. I wasn't done yet. 3 months later, I found out I was pregnant. It should have been a moment of joy. And it was, briefly. Nolan and I stood in our kitchen, staring at the little blue plus sign, crying and laughing all at once. But even as I hugged him, something dark curled in the pit of my stomach. I didn't know why then. I just felt it, like the echo of a warning I hadn't learned to listen to yet. The first text came that same week, from my mother. "Call me. We need to talk about what this means for the family." I ignored it. Then came the second. This baby could bring us all back together. By the 5th message, she stopped pretending. "Isolde can help you. She's ready to be there for her niece or nephew. She's already reading parenting books." That's when I understood. They weren't congratulating me. They were laying claim. The calls picked up. Aunts, cousins, even my godmother. Every one of them layered in the same saccharine tone. "You'll need help with night feedings. It's only natural to let family be involved. Isolde has so much love to give. Nolan's face hardened more each time he watched me put my phone down without answering. Then the packages started arriving. Diapers, crib sheets, bottles, all addressed to Baby Whitmore. The return labels? Isolde Monroe. I stared at the pale pink swaddle blanket embroidered with the words, Auntie's favorite. My stomach twisted. She's not going to stop, I told Nolan. No, he said, so we start documenting. And we did. Every call, every gift, every voicemail that started with, we just want what's best. We hired an attorney. We hired a private investigator. I started therapy twice a week, not because I was spiraling, but because I needed to be sharper than ever. That's when the line got crossed. Isolde, posted a video. Her face tear-streaked, framed perfectly in soft lighting. I'm making this video because I need people to understand, she began, her voice raw. My sister is denying me the chance to love her child. I've already lost everything, and now she wants to take this too. It spread like wildfire. Sympathy poured in from strangers. My inbox exploded with messages from people who'd never met me, but had decided I was the villain. Then came the group chat, the one I forgot to leave. How can Briar be so cold? What kind of mother keeps a baby from its own family, after everything Isolde's been through? Calder read them silently. Then he started researching gated communities with private security and emergency protocols. We changed our phone numbers. We installed cameras at every corner of the house. We updated our legal documents, added clauses for emergency guardianship, filed preliminary restraining order paperwork. Still, it wasn't enough. The night my mother showed up at our front door, with prenatal vitamins she claimed I desperately needed, I knew we were past the point of warnings. She told the guard at the gate she was family, that she was bringing essential medicine, that I was fragile and might not be thinking clearly. By the time she reached our living room, she was already smiling. Nolan's parents sat stiffly on the couch, caught in the trap. I got the expensive ones, my mother chirped, holding up the white pharmacy bag like an offering. My hand moved to cover my stomach. What are you doing here? I asked, my voice like glass. She blinked. We just wanted to help, to clear the air. We want to be involved. No, I said. You want to control. I walked to the secretary desk in the corner and pulled out the manila folder I kept locked away. Depositions, screenshots, printed emails, and Tom's affidavit. I laid it all on the coffee table like a lawyer presenting evidence. My mother's face went pale as I flipped to the message from Isolde. She stole everything. She'll pay. Then to Tom's sworn statement about her pregnancy trap. Then the photo of the baby blanket she sent to her house, labeled Baby's Second Home. Read it, I said. She didn't move. I did it for her. When I was finished, she was shaking, not from disbelief, but from being caught. Her phone buzzed. I nodded toward it. Answer it. She hesitated, then clicked speaker. Susan! My father's voice barked. Where are you? Isolde needs you. I told you not to waste time on Briar. There it was, laid bare, the hierarchy of our family. I looked her dead in the eye. If you contact me again without going through legal channels, I will file for full protection. She opened her mouth. This child, I said, will not be raised in a world where manipulation is called love. If you want any relationship with your grandchild, you will complete separate family therapy. And Isolde will have no parental role, ever. That is non-negotiable. For the first time in my life, she had no answer. She left in silence, the door clicked shut behind her, and I finally exhaled. After that night, the silence didn't last. Within 24 hours, a baby registry appeared online, created in my name, linked to Isolde's address. The items weren't just practical, they were symbolic. Personalized onesies with Auntie's angel embroidered across the front. A hand-painted sign, Welcome to Baby's Second Home. The message was clear. She wasn't just trying to be involved, she was trying to claim. Our lawyer added it to the growing file, along with the video messages, screenshots, and audio clips. We secured an official cease and desist. We sent certified letters. Each one came back marked received. And still, she persisted. Aunt Martha left a voicemail telling me I was too hormonal to see clearly. Uncle Steve emailed to warn me that my father's blood pressure was through the roof, and did I really want to be responsible for that? But it wasn't until 3:06 a.m. on a rainy Tuesday that I understood how far she would go. The phone rang, vibrating across the nightstand. I picked it up before it could wake Nolan. It was Isolde. "You can't keep my baby from me," she slurred, her voice thick with something between grief and delusion. "You think some lawyer is going to stop me? That baby needs me." From our bedroom window, I could see a dark car idling just outside the gates of our community. Headlights off, engine running. Nolan was already out of bed, calling the police. I hit record on my phone. I didn't say a word, just let her spiral into the silence. "You don't get to take everything, Briar," she said before hanging up. The next morning, our attorney filed for a restraining order. That same day, I received a small box in the mail. No return address. Inside was a silver rattle engraved with EMW, my daughter's initials. There was no note, just a photo of my mother, holding the same rattle at my baby shower 28 years ago. The message was subtle, but it screamed, "You were ours, she will be too." We installed more cameras. Nolan's parents moved in temporarily. Calder arranged to work remotely. The nursery remained half-finished, not out of fear, but out of principle. I refused to let their presence determine the pace of my joy. But that didn't mean I wasn't ready, because the next time they crossed the line, I would be. And they did. 2 months later, I returned from a routine checkup, stepped into our home, and froze. My mother was sitting on our couch, a tissue in her hand, talking to Nolan's parents like nothing had happened. My knees locked. "I told the guard I was delivering iron supplements," she said quickly. "You weren't answering my messages, Briar. I thought something might have happened." Something had happened. I had changed. I walked straight to the secretary desk, pulled out the folder, and opened it without a word. I handed her the final page. A notarized copy of our restraining order, unsigned, but ready to be filed. "This is your last visit," I said. "If you want a future with us, you go through therapy, you respect the boundaries, and you stay away from my daughter." She opened her mouth. I raised a hand. "And Isolde is done. She will never have a role in my child's life, ever." My mother's face crumbled. "But we're family." "No," I said. "We were blood. Family shows up. Family protects. Family doesn't let one daughter destroy another just because she cries louder." She started to cry. Real tears this time, but they held no power. Nolan stood behind me, one hand on my shoulder. "You've taught Isolde that love is a weapon," I said. "I won't let her teach that to my child." The silence after that was deafening. She left on her own, and for the first time, she didn't look back. A year later, sunlight filtered through the nursery windows as I dressed my daughter for her first birthday. Lena Rose Wynn. 7 pounds, 6 ounces of stubborn miracle. Her curls, dark and unruly, defied every hair clip I attempted. Her smile came easy. Her trust, even easier. She didn't know how hard I'd fought for that. Downstairs, Calder was arranging tables in the backyard. His parents strung fairy lights through the trees, while music floated from the open kitchen window. Casseroles from friends lined the counter. Our neighbors brought flowers. My therapist sent a card. There were no forced smiles, no awkward reunions, no ghostly shadows of people who'd once called themselves family. Just laughter, real and uncomplicated. After cake, Calder lifted his glass for a toast, but I took it from him gently, turned to face the people who had become our circle, our fortress. "To those who love without conditions," I said, "to those who stood with us when standing alone would have been easier. This is the family my daughter will grow up knowing, the one we chose, not the one we escaped." There was a beat of silence, then clinking glasses, then Lena squealing as frosting smeared across her cheek. Later that night, after the last balloon had sagged and the final gift had been tucked away, I sat in the nursery rocking chair. Lena snored gently against my chest. In the drawer beside us was a sealed letter, one she would open on her 18th birthday. Inside, I had written everything. Why she didn't grow up with a grandmother who smelled like Chanel. Why there were no visits from Aunt Isolde. Why we drew a line and never stepped back across it. Not because we were angry, but because love without boundaries isn't love at all. As I looked down at her peaceful face, I whispered what I hoped she would carry forever. Your story began with love. Not sacrifice, not silence, not survival. Just love, chosen and protected. And that will always be enough.